All right, traders, watch this video for Friday, April 27th. The SPY kind of right in the middle of this range again. I tell you what, the market probably going to be strong tomorrow because Amazon reported after hours closed at 1517. That's 1,517 and 96 cents. And as I'm making this video, it's trading at $1,612.99. Huge move in after hours. I think that probably going to lift the whole market, but anything can happen. But anyway, nice day today. Great teamwork as always in the chat room. I made some money off of Jane's AQMS again. There's the daily, by the way. I've got a little trend line on there. It's on the watch list for tomorrow. But in case you weren't in chat today, we had this on the gap play watch list because I had a little bit of pre-market volume. And then when this came right back up, it hadn't broken out yet. Jane said, hey, this looks good through that earlier high. And I agreed because I like the daily chart so much. So an excellent idea by Jane. I got filled right there at that 270 break. It didn't exactly rip though. I mean, in 10 minutes it went to like 284, and I made some money, but it wasn't like a monster trade that I'm gonna brag about and show you the totals. But a few $100 or something. It was still a decent little trade. It flagged and then took off again, but kind of going into lunchtime ended up rolling back over and closing strong. So it's still gonna be on watch for tomorrow. But anyway, nice heads up by Jane. In case you weren't in chat today, a couple highlights. Box was on the bounce playlist because we had this big day here and then a couple days lower on decreasing volume. As a matter of fact, there I kind of created this chart today to show Box the entry. And these are 5-minute candles. So there's that big pop the other day and then, a couple days lower. And then this nice tight opening range. So I was on the mic before it broke and I said, hey guys, Box is near the trigger, which is basically, it's pretty simple trade. It's an opening range breakout after that 2 days lower. So you've got the 2 days lower there, right? And then we go to 5-minute candles. I just showed you the shot, but this is what it looked like. And it started to come up. And basically the entry was 22.44. In other words, if it broke the early high, and it did it right there. And it ended up going through 23.10. I think it went to 23.11. So 67-cent move, but you can see from the trigger here, really never underwater. Just shot up straight for 15 minutes. There's nothing tricky about that setup at all. And I was able to get it out of my mouth over the mic in time for anybody in the room that wanted it to get it. So that was, that was one of the highlights from today. HEAR, if you weren't in chat today, again, another highlight was HEAR. As it started to come up, Wayne said he liked it through 5. I didn't disagree. I agreed with him because you had the earlier pop right to a whole number inflection point, and then volume was coming in. So we both liked it through 5. I was able to get a few thousand shares, and then he had this really nice run. As it was running, I was telling people, do not forget, never forget to scale out into strength. And then it came back down, but you had plenty of time to make some money. Look at that volume. And that's also, I'm going to go into the watch list now, but that's also on the watch list tomorrow, although I don't like all these kind of little topping tails. So let me actually go into the list now. DARE had this big pop yesterday. Today ended up closing red on lower volume. I'm just going to watch it. I don't have any kind of great setup in it. VTVT, this is weird because you had this huge run after this gap down, then it went sideways. Then you had this huge 2-day run, and then it looked like it was flagging, and I thought, hey, this could still go again. And it broke the flag to the downside. So I wasn't really interested in it. And then somebody in chat pointed it out today, right when it was breaking the early high. So right here. And I said something brilliant like, well, I don't like the daily chart now. And then it proceeded to do this. It shows how smart I am, right? It had a really nice move. Anyway, long story short, then it broke the highs again, took off to the downside, but ended up closing pretty strong. So I definitely, even though I don't love this chart at all, you've got a lot of supply in here from the last few days that it's just run into. I still want to watch it. It was kind of interesting watching on level 2. You had some big sellers that were showing up and getting taken out. So anyway, long story short, we're going to have VT on the watch list. GNPX had this insane move from 589 to 1839. That is not an errant tick. That actually happened. I never took one trade in this. I just watched it do what it did. But that is enough of a crazy move that you got to watch that for the next several days. So that one's going to be on watch. APRN, someone on CNBC or some kind of stock contest or something. I don't even know who it was, but they liked APRN, and you can see what it did. It lit it on fire. It had strong volume and closed pretty strong. So that one's worth watching tomorrow. I already talked about HEAR. I don't love this topping tail, but it did have good news today. So and it's got a pretty small float, so I think it's worth watching. Although, again, I do not really like those topping tails. RCL. This one's in my notes. Let's pan out a little bit here. Okay. Just because I think it gapped up on earnings today. I think they had a beat, and then it just sells off all day. If it can come down and maybe test these recent lows, I think it could get a snapback bounce. Obviously, I'm not in love with that one, but it's worth watching. I already talked about AQMS, and it's kind of breaking this trend line. A little bit of extra volume today. Maybe it can get through 3, and if it gets through 3, you've got a couple catalysts here and here that might actually propel this thing higher. And then lastly, I'm going to watch MARA, which I really like this chart. You had this huge move back here. You know, it's one of those baby cryptos. And especially if Bitcoin can catch a bid one of these days. It had a nice little rally recently, but then it's pulling back. I haven't checked it in the last 4 hours or so, but if we wake up tomorrow and Bitcoin's showing some strength, I really like this MARA. You had this spike back here that went to $1.94, and now it's kind of flagging. Today's high was 188. So I like it over today's high, 189. Might propel it through that 194. Then maybe it challenges the whole number $2 and heads up to the 200 day of 223. So there are some potential catalysts on this chart. So I really want to keep my eyes on MARA, but kind of keep an eye on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin shows some strength, I like this a lot more. All right. Not a big list today. I'm hoping to find some potential, gap plays in the morning to add to this list. So we'll see everybody in chat tomorrow. Have a good night.